Hi, I'd like to share my progress of creating Conway Game of Life using wxWidgets. wxWidget is the application that we can use to make a GUI applications. It requires to have an app, wx apps. This is one of the requirement to create an applications, window application. So the base class of creating a Windows application is wxWindows, which is the base class of creating a window. And with this wxWindows, it contains more items, such as creating a scroll bar like this, and then title or drop menu and stuff. But we will not using wxWindows. We are using the simplest form of creating a window using wxPanel. Not wxPanel, wxFrame first. That will be the base of creating the window. And I'm going to show you the wxFrame is a base class for my main windows, which is wxFrame was derived from wxWindow. So wxWindow is the base class, and if you look at wxFrame, it is derived from wxWindow. So wxWindows is the base class, and my main window is derived from wxMainFrame. And the way we create the main windows, we have to call the base class wxFrame, and wxFrame constructor contains several parameters, and these are the parameters. It's the wxWindow as the parent window, which we will not have the parent window because wxFrame will be the main window. Let me just make it larger. So that will be the main window. And the next one is, I believe it's ID. So the next one is wxWindow ID, which is, we don't want any ID. We don't need to recall this window associated to any other main event handler that we need to call. So we can have just macro is wxID underscore any is one of the macro that part of wxWidget. And the next parameter is constant wxString, and it's a title. So wxStrings, when I look it up, it's just basically like a main string, like standard string class that we can use. So the title will go to the next one as a string, or as a character. You can use it as a character too. And the next parameter is wxPoint. It's the position where you can put the frames or the drawing of the frame windows locations. So I'm putting, this should be the x and y. So this is part of the x and y of where the point, where you draw. So let me just like, so what it does is it will draw this point here on top here. That's the x part right here, and then that's the x will go from left to right. It's a vertical, it's a horizontal. The x will go horizontal and the y will go downward. So normally the y axis or y coordinate will go positive upward. In wxWidget, the x positive will go downward in the coordinate system on the graphics. So positive going down as in the y coordinate, and then for the x coordinate it's the same as the mathematical coordinate, as a positive goes in x directions. Let's see if I can put a point. I use the pane. So what it does, so if I put SRR screen, so the x and y point is this. So if I change this point 10, 10, oh, 10, 10, that 10. Let's see. Yeah, it does. It's drawing over on the other screen, so it's starting point like this side here. If I put 1,000, it will move to the corner, like it's starting drawing the frame. If I put 0, 0 in here, what it does, it will start creating the frame of this window over here, because the point 0, 0 is started here. This is where they start. This is the point we're located. It's right here. This is where the point is. I cannot show the window because I'm using two monitor screen, so it's not. I'm not able to show you. But let me see if I can show you the other screen. Let's see if I can show the other screen. Monitor. Yeah, let me show you the other screen. So when I create that 0, 0, it will show on that location because I put 0, 0 as the main starting point. So if we change this point, we put 1,000. I'm going to show you 1,000, and then it will shift x position to the right when you create this. So let's run it, but before I run it, let's make it to the other screen. So when I run this position, the drawing will move 1,000 pixel. You see that 1,000 pixel to the right, because that's the x directions. That's how the window will be drawn. So if I change that, let's go ahead and change it again. If you change it to I just put 500 and then 1,000. I think mine has 1,000, maybe 50. So what it does, so what it will draw, it will create, not drawing, it will create the window 500 in x directions, which is, this is the point where you're starting. The x, it's right here. This is the point x, and everything starts on the corner here. So when it create windows, or when it draw the monitor, the program will start on this corner, 0, 0. So I start counting 500 in the x direction. So 500 x direction, maybe somewhere around here. That will be the x direction. We'll just pretend that will be the x directions. And then 1,050 will go the y direction. So y is always positive in the computer system. It's not upward like the mathematical coordinate system. So 1,050, so it should be right here. So we're gonna predict that's where you're gonna draw the window frame. So I'm gonna show you my other screen because I'm using two monitors, so it will draw different places. So it does draw right here, 500 and 1,050. Because so if I put 1,000, 500 and 1,000, that should be moving up a little bit. Yeah. So if I put 500, 500. So if I put 500, 500, it will should draw on the top. Yeah. So that's how it does. Alright, the next one is the size. So the size is 400. You can see the size. So basically it will draw the size 400 or 400, which is that size. I'm not sure. Let me see. Okay, that's, I think this one, example. So the size of it is 400 by 400. This is 400 this way. This first one is the width, and the 400, the next one is the height. So if we change it to 200, it will create the window. 200 as the width, let me pull it there. 200 as the width, and the height as 400. So that's what WX size is. So I'm going to change it to 400. I like the starting point, maybe 200. I don't like to be starting from the top. Yeah, so starting from this side. So when I draw it, okay. The next thing is, before we can draw, the app require an onInit function to place the main window. So I created the main window class, and then this main window is the instance. This is the instance of my main window.h class. So the main window has to be inside wxApp onInit in order for the application to create the window. So app, which is part of the wxWidget, is the one is being called to create the window. That's according to the documentation of wxWidget. And in order for me to draw something on the window, we cannot draw directly on the wx frame, which is my main window here. Cannot draw anything, so we need to create wx panel. Wx panel is the way we create drawing. So we can create drawing using wx panel. It's like a surface or a canvas if you use Java, so that will be part of it. And I was struggling a little bit to find out that the wx panel, when you create a constructor, it required to pass down the wx window or wx frame as its parent. So when I look at the documentation here, just wasn't aware that when I'm creating wx panel, it required to draw the parent, to call the parent. So when I create wx panel class drawing panel, which is part of which is derived from wx panel. So when I create that, I have to make sure the constructor is calling wx frame and passing down the parent, which is wx frame, or you could also pass the wx window because they're part of the inheritance of wx windows. They're still in the same class. And the other value, the other parameter, we don't really need it because it can be a default. So if we don't put any parameter, the next parameter on the constructor, it will default it to wx any ID. And the point too, we don't really need to put a point because it has a default. So we don't really need a long constructor here. So everything has a default size if we don't put the parameter on there. So basically we need to pass that the parent, and when I create the panel, it should be on the main window. So I create it as a private object. The drawing panel is inside the private, and this is the instance of drawing panel, and it has to be a pointer. When we create the instance of an object, drawing panel, or a wx panel, it has to be a pointer. Otherwise, I have to specify, according to documentation or according to the textbook, we have to specify how much megabyte the memory needs in order for us to create the wx panel. So instead of creating the object and using a specific amount of memory, we should use dynamic memory allocation, which is a pointer. We just created a pointer, so it will resize the memory at any given moment, whatever size we need. We don't need to specify a static memory. It will describe here. And then on the drawing panel, I declare it new, and the parent, what is the parent of this? We are passing the main window, which is the parent of it. So this, the main window class, is the parent of it, of the class. The parent window of the object, sorry. This is the object. The window, which is the wx frame, will be passing it there. And then in order for us to draw, I'm going to create a function. This is a user-defined function, and we are passing wx paint event, and we are passing a copy of an event listener. So it's event listener, and we're creating a constant. We're going to create a grid size of 15 by 15. So when we implement the on-paint drawing, this is user-defined. This is not part of wxWidget class, wxWidget function. So it is my own user-defined functions. And in order for us to create it, we need to have wx auto buffer DC. That's one of the requirements for panel. I think that will be on chapter 5. I was reading that. So given that, I think that was instructed on here. So we are creating the first graphic panel. We need to create buffer. So to the beginning method and then clear. I also read it somewhere on the book, but we need to use the buffer paint. I couldn't find it at the moment, but I will find it later. And we need to use the context, wx graphic context. That is to draw the on the panel. Oh, I was on the right track here. Yes, I think I can find it here. That should be buffer. No. Let me find it where I can find later on that one. But the graphic context is with the drawing tool. Maybe I was reading on this side here. Device context. Nope. Graphics. Graphic. I know there is the drawing and painting. There's a graphic. Oh, I think I might use this. Search context. Oops. Oh, I think I might just. So wx graphic context is the one we need to draw. Yeah, sorry. This is an instant. This is what we need to pull to create a render, like a rectangle. And this is the example that they provide from wxWidget. they require us to use this. And I think I can find the other one. wx point buffer. This is part of the class. It's simply type of the platform. Let's see. We need to use that to draw. So yeah, this is part of it. The wx context is to draw. So inside it, we are going to create an instance of an object, graphic context, and we call the constructor to create the DC, the paint, wxDC paint here, which is I'm calling the auto buffer DC paint. That's what it is. Yes, sorry. So this is the way to call it, to create a painting, to draw on the buffer. So it has to have an event handler to draw in on the wx panel. So this is the graphic context. So it has a pen. The pen will draw the outside of the rectangle here. That's the outside is black, and the inside, which is set to brush, will filling in whatever inside that rectangle. That's the filling. So if I change it to wx, that's red, it will fill in whatever inside with a red color. It's like a paint. It's painting the inside, filling everything on the inside. But the pen will be the outer layer, will be the outer line. So it will be the dark black here that will draw. So I'm just change it back to white wx. If we don't fill in anything, I think you cannot. So it has to be x, white or gray. Maybe gray. We have gray. Maybe they have gray. No, they don't have a gray color. So I think they have specific color. They have yellow, but I'm gonna put white. Okay. So this is to draw a rectangle. That's the x, the point x and the point y, and this is the width, and this is the height. So this is the drawing of the rectangle. We have to look at the device context, the graphic device context here. That should be rectangle. Okay, the drawing rectangle. So the x and y. That's the width and the height. So whatever it will draw from that side. I already showed the grid panel. That's how it will create the grid on the system. So again, thank you for watching, and